Did you know that that little ball right there is responsible for saving countless lives in and around the Tennessee Valley for over the past 30 years? And actually, for me, it's one of the most important pieces of information that I have access to. So, in this edition of Chris King, the Weather Guy, I'm on location. I'm actually here in High Top, Alabama, right off State Route 79, about a 45-minute drive away from Tullahoma area, and you are looking at the actual radar site. That is the National Weather Service radar out of Huntsville, and it's actually strategically placed here in High Top, Alabama. I'm about 1,800 feet above sea level right now, so it's a prime location for this WSR 88 radar, Doppler radar. We interrupt this very important program to give you a little bit more of information. Now we're going to look at just how high is the radar beam away from Tullahoma from the high top site. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my gracious, look at this formula here. But I can be rest assured that one of my math classes actually worked this out today. So I know if they can do it, you can do it. Don't let the letters fool you. Here's all we need to be able to do. We need to be able to have some simple calculations over here, which I'll give you in just a minute. But here's the idea of why this is important. Because the farther away you are from the radar site, the higher in the atmosphere the radar is scanning, because we do have a little thing called curvature of the Earth. And so because the beam coming out is angled and the curvature, this is exaggerated a little bit, at high top, you would actually have right around 1,800 feet elevation. But in Tullahoma, a little different story. So let's go through the process of how to do this. All you need are a couple of pieces of information, which I've already provided you. And here comes the math teacher portion. So the radar above sea level, I calculated it. It's 1,800, but you have to also add in the height of the tower. They're roughly 130 to 140 feet. So I played it safe and said 135, shot down the middle. So that's 1,935 feet. And keep in mind, I'm converting that over to kilometers. Now we want to know, how far is the radar actually from Tullahoma? And when I did this, I actually put it right where Jackson meets Lincoln Street, and that's 30.61 miles, which equates to almost 50 kilometers. It's 49.26202. The elevation angle, so we want the shallowest angle because that's going to be the lowest part that the radar is going to be able to scan, and so we do that at 0.5 degrees. And then the radius of the Earth is a little over 6,300 kilometers. So when you put all that together, here's what the formula is going to look like with all the numbers plugged in. Whew, definitely something to make your head spin with all these numbers. But all we're going to do is work each basically almost like separate problems inside of the radical. So the radical is the square root sign. So we're going to work all of this inside here, just using that thing called, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, order of operations you learned all the way back in middle school. Then we're going to take the square root of it. And then finally, the very last thing that we're going to do, and it's a part that you have to be careful about. Not everything's under the radical. The minus 4/3 times the radius of the Earth on the very tail end is outside the radical. So we're going to get everything in here added, multiplied, squared, all the good stuff. Then we're going to take the square root of it. Then we're going to subtract this. So once you start that process, it's going to look a little bit like this. Ta-da! And you have your answer, which in kilometers is about 1.16. That's approximately, by the time we do all the rounding, it's about 3,800 feet. Actually, it's about 3,813 to be exact. So what that means is that the radar beam in Tullahoma is actually hitting at an elevation or scanning at an elevation of 3,800 feet. So what that means is anything below it, we really don't know what's going on. Obviously, we have a lot of factual evidence, science we can put to what we know kind of is happening. But as far as really knowing, that's where storm spotters come in. So hope you enjoyed this little math lesson, but to actually calculate the beam height for the radar from high top. So now back to your regularly scheduled programming already in progress. And one of the reasons they commissioned this to be here in 1997 was due in fact that it was placed high above to give a really clear view of the skies. and also serve as a local radar for northern Alabama, southern middle Tennessee, eastern Tennessee, and northwest Georgia, believe it or not. So this thing is very crucial, especially in times of severe weather. So anytime you have your favorite local radar app or whatever, and you're looking at rain in around Tullahoma, Franklin, Moore counties, you got it. It's that actual radar. So what happens is that radar beam is Doppler, and it's a dual pole. It's actually one of the first radars that the National Weather Service recommissioned to do dual polarization, which means that it shoots a vertical and a horizontal beam, giving you guys a clear view of what's going on in the sky when it deals with all the things from wind to even correlation coefficient to see if there's actually a tornado on the ground. So this has a range of 250 miles, so it's it's a pretty far-reaching radar. And like I said, it has saved countless lives here in southern middle Tennessee. So did you know that's what it looks like? It just looks like a big golf ball as a car comes by, because this is a road that I just pulled off on. So I don't want to get hit as they're driving by. So anyways, I want to give you a little something different this week from Chris King, the weather guy, on location. So anytime you're using the radar, there it is. That's what it looks like. Looks like a big golf ball in the sky. So reporting live here from High Top, Alabama, this is Chris King, the weather guy. We'll see you next time.